Hi, it's Jennifer. Thanks for joining me at My Little Pretty Crafts. Today we're going to be doing the second in a series of these beautiful paper flowers. These are the wild roses out of the Build-a-Bouquet kit from Stampin Up, and lots of tips and tricks to help make assembly just a little bit easier for you. Before we get started, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a tutorial, and let's go ahead and dive right in. So, in order to make this wild rose, we're first going to start with this button center, and here's what the finished button center looks like. So what you're going to need from the kit are 2 of these Hello Honey tissue paper squares, a medium button. You can see I've been working today, my fingers are all inky. You're also going to need a wire right here and your floral tape. And so what we're going to do is take some pliers, some needle nose pliers. These will be really handy for assembling this kit. And you're just going to turn the end right in, kind of like in a horseshoe shape. Oh. There we go. And then you're going to flatten that out. So we'll have something to adhere the button center to. So see, there it is flat. And now what you'll do is you'll just bring in your hot glue gun, and I have a piece of a Ranger craft sheet here just in case I drop any of the hot glue. And what I like to do is just put some hot glue there on the end, whoops, and then adhere the button right to that. Just like that. And that's going to be the base for the flower center. Put that off to the side. So once that has a chance to dry for a couple of seconds, you're going to take your Hello Honey tissue paper squares, and most of the paper in the kit is actually this tissue paper, which will help your flowers have more dimension, and will be a little bit easier to work with than cardstock. So what you're going to do is layer those together and wrap them right around that button. Now this doesn't have to look super uniform or pretty. The idea is just to wrap it right around, and then you're going to give it a little bit of a twist to really hold it on there. And then you'll bring in your floral tape. Now this is also included in the kit, and you'll just want to cut off a length right there. And this is the first time that I've ever worked with floral tape, so I'm not claiming to be a floral tape expert here, but I figured out a way that works for me. So what you're going to do is add a little bit of hot glue here on the end and wrap the floral tape right around it and just kind of hold it there for a second so that the hot glue has a chance to stick. Pinch it a little bit. And then the floral tape is a little bit stretchy, so you're going to want to wrap it right around, and then I grab the top of the button center pretty tightly and use this hand to pull the floral tape taut, and then just sort of twist it right down. You're going to want to keep this set of fingers right next to the edge of the floral tape so that it keeps that tension, and then just twist it right on down the stem. Just like that. Now you could take the floral tape all the way down. I would do it in a couple of different pieces, but you're going to end up with that nice floral center. So we're going to set that aside for just a minute, and we're going to work on our petals. So as you can see here, I've already prepared some of them because you're going to need 20 of these per wild rose. So it would have taken a long time to do all of that on camera, but I will show you how to stamp and adhere a couple of them here. So I just have a piece of scratch paper and these crisp cantaloupe petals, again 20 for each wild rose. I'm going to bring in some crisp cantaloupe ink. You could do a darker ink if you wanted. Calypso Coral or Strawberry Slush might be nice. And then I'm just using a flower from another stamp set for my centers. So we'll just stamp those. You want to come more up toward the middle of the petal because the ends here are going to be adhered together and you won't really see that if you stamp it more toward the bottom. So stamp it up toward the center here. And if you do these in assembly line fashion, it actually goes pretty quickly. No rhyme or reason, they don't have to be perfect. A little bit of variation will help the flower just look really, really nice and more natural. Okay, so we're all done with the stamping. And now, in order to make the flowers cupped, the petals cupped, each petal has a little bit of a slit in it. So what you're going to do is just put a little bit of hot glue right there and adhere those together so that the petal is cupped. If they're too flat, the flower won't have a lot of dimension and won't look quite as nice. That one's already done. So again, when I was assembling these, I just made it in assembly line fashion. I did all of my stamping, just laid out all the petals, did all the stamping, and then adhered all the petals together so that when it comes to the assembly, it goes really, really quickly. Flower, so I just used the hot glue the whole way. Okay. So we're done with that step. We have all of our petals here. Now you're going to want to bring in these, excuse me, little wild rose centers. All of these come die cut for you, and you just punch them out of the cardstock for whichever flower you're going to use. And when you're wrapping your flowers, you're going to want to do it as tightly as possible because it is a bit of a snug fit around the floral tape. But if you're having a hard time, you can just kind of wiggle it up there without ripping the paper. Not too big of a deal. So we're going to use 2 of these. Again, just wiggle that right up on there. If the paper does rip by any chance, it should be okay. Whoop, just like that. Because we can use some hot glue to just keep that stuck right on there. Since the floral tape is a little bit sticky, you might get away with just holding it in place. Okay, so now we're going to assemble the flowers. I found that it was easiest for me to do this upside down so that I could sort of see and then periodically turn it over and then check where my petal placement was going to be. So what we're going to do is just put a little bit of hot glue on there. Let's see if we can anchor down that. Whoops. Well, as you can see, nothing's perfect in crafting. We'll try and stick that on later. I'm going to go ahead and start adhering these petals down right against the base. Now I would say that this is probably not a beginner crafting project. I would say that I think of myself as more intermediate to advanced crafter, and as you can see, there are still a few little hiccups along the way, which is okay. It is a really fun project if you get a couple of people together, maybe working in steps. You could you could finish the whole project within an afternoon, I would say. Okay, so we have our first layer of petals adhered down. And again, you might have some of this glue sticking out. That is okay. And even with the half of that center you know, that didn't make it on there, I think we're going to be just fine. So you'll see how it starts to come together. And then what you're going to do is overlap the petals, the second layer, just right behind the ones that you've already done. And it really starts to fill in nicely. And see, now that everything's already been like adhered together and ready to go, the assembly actually doesn't take all that long. And once you do your first one of each type of flower, it does get much easier as you go along and your flowers start to look better and better. And when you think about the price point, you know, you get a bouquet at the florist and you're going to spend, I don't know, for a decent looking bouquet where I live, $30 to $40. And you can make this, you know, there's the cost of your time, but really the materials are not too bad. Okay, so we're just finishing up. My Band-Aid likes to hang on to these little glue strings. Oh, that's looking so pretty. We have a couple more here. And the last one will go here. Okay, so we'll give that just a second to dry. So you'll see, looks really, really pretty. I used crisp cantaloupe to stamp this, and on these other ones I used Calypso Coral, I believe. So really up to you. You could also use Strawberry Slush. I think that would be pretty. And so to adhere the base of the flower, I'm going to take my bone folder and just curl the edges. Provide a little bit more dimension. And then pop that on the string there and apply your hot glue all the way around the base. And then just hold that on there to set. And there you go. Really, really pretty. And you get enough supplies to make 5 wild roses in the kit. You'll see here that I have my bouquet, which looks lovely. I love these poppies and the wild roses, and then I did these pansies. I didn't make the chrysanthemums or the daisies. They just didn't kind of go with what my vision was for this bouquet, and I think that it looks really great without it. But it does include enough flowers to make 5 chrysanthemums and 5 daisies, as well as the 5 roses, 5 poppies, and 5 stems of the pansies. So thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial. I hope that you'll come back and subscribe to my channel, and we'll bring lots more videos to you in 2015. Thanks. See you next time.